If tomorrow I were stripped of every contact, every dollar, every reputation I have earned, if I stood alone with nothing but my mind and the clothes upon my back, I would not panic. I would begin again. And I would know with absolute certainty that riches would return. You believe wealth is fragile. You believe it depends upon circumstances, connections, timing. That is why starting from zero terrifies you. But I tell you this, zero is not a curse, it is clarity. When nothing remains, only law remains. Listen closely. If I were forced to begin from nothing, no capital, no influence, no advantage, I would follow a precise plan. Not a wish, not a hope. A plan so definite that within months the foundation of riches would be visible. Within a year, momentum would be undeniable. And today, I will give you that exact blueprint, step by step, so that you may copy it. But understand something first. Most men who say they want riches do not want the process. They want the outcome without the discipline. They want the applause without the years of invisibility. They want fortune without obsession. Starting from zero removes illusions. It forces a man to face one question: what do you truly control? You control your aim. You control your thoughts. You control your decision. And from those three, all wealth is born. If I had nothing, the first thing I would not seek is money. That shocks you. You expect me to say I would chase capital, investors, opportunity. Number one, I would first secure something far more powerful. My definite chief aim, written in ink, spoken aloud morning and night until it possessed me. Because without definiteness, effort scatters. You have tried to build while uncertain. You have worked while divided. You have hoped while doubting. And so your results have mirrored your hesitation. The blueprint I will reveal leaves no room for hesitation. Picture yourself at zero. No savings, no reputation. Bills watching you like silent judges. Would you crumble or would you become dangerous? The difference lies in whether you understand the laws I'm about to lay before you. Within this plan are stages. First, the burning desire that tolerates no retreat. Second, the decision that closes every alternative. Third, the organized action that turns thought into income. Fourth, the habit of going the extra mile until opportunity seeks you. I will show you precisely how I would structure my days, what I would read, whom I would seek, how I would offer service beyond pay, how I would use auto-suggestion to command my subconscious mind to produce ideas of value. Nothing vague, nothing mystical, a real blueprint, but I warn you, if you listen as a spectator, nothing will change. If you listen as a man rebuilding from zero, everything can change. The plan works only for those who obey it. Somewhere inside you is the fear of starting over, of losing what little security you have. Yet history proves this truth repeatedly. Men who understood these laws could rebuild faster the second time than the first. Because once you grasp the cause, the effect becomes inevitable. Before this message ends, you will know exactly what I would do to go from nothing to riches. You will know the sequence, the priorities, the daily disciplines, the mental posture required, and once you know it, you will no longer be able to blame circumstances for poverty. The question will no longer be, can it be done? The question will be, will you follow the blueprint? Step 1, securing power before seeking money. If I stood stripped of property, position, acquaintance, and credit, if I possessed nothing but my mind and the garments upon my back, I would not seek sympathy. I would not rehearse misfortune. I would not curse circumstance. I would begin by securing the only capital that cannot be confiscated, a definite purpose fixed so firmly in my mind that it would govern every thought thereafter. Zero is not emptiness. It is exposure. When a man stands at zero, excuses lose their costume. He can no longer blame advantage or disadvantage. He sees clearly what remains: his will, his imagination, his power of decision, and those three, rightly directed, outweigh money itself. Most men fear zero because they have never trusted their mind as the source of riches. They have trusted environment, position, and favor. Remove those and they feel naked. I tell you this plainly. The man who has mastered his mind is never at zero. If I began again, the first act would not be seeking employment, nor capital, nor sympathy. It would be writing in clear language the exact position I intend to occupy within a definite period of time. Not a vague ambition, but a specific aim stating what I shall earn, what I shall become, and what I shall give in return. Without such definiteness, effort scatters like seeds thrown upon stone. Men at zero often rush. They chase the nearest coin. They grasp at immediate wages without structure. In doing so, they build without direction and exhaust themselves in motion without progress. I would do the opposite. I would sit quietly and determine precisely what service I am prepared to render that the world will pay for generously. Service, not need, commands income. Desperation repels opportunity. Definiteness attracts it. A man whose mind is clear about his aim speaks differently. His posture changes. His voice carries certainty. Others feel this before they understand it. Certainty has gravity. Henry Ford did not begin with abundance. He began with vision. Others laughed when he insisted the automobile would become common property. He did not argue long. He organized his thought and pursued it until ridicule weakened. Andrew Carnegie arrived with little more than ambition and willingness to learn. He did not begin by asking for fortune. He began by asking, where can I render myself indispensable? Thomas Edison endured repeated disappointment before recognition. His early experiments failed more often than they succeeded, yet he did not abandon definiteness. His aim governed him so completely that failure lost its power to discourage. If I were at zero, I would remind myself daily that wealth is an effect. The cause is organized thought sustained by desire. Desire must not be mild. Mild desire produces mild effort. Mild effort produces mild result. Starting from zero demands intensity, not panic, but intensity of aim. I would write my purpose plainly and read it aloud morning and night until it stirred emotion. Words spoken without feeling do not penetrate deeply. Words spoken with conviction command the subconscious. And the subconscious mind is obedient but literal. It accepts repetition as instruction. When I declare daily what I intend to become, I plant that intention into deeper soil. Within weeks, my thinking would begin organizing around that aim. Ideas would appear. Associations would shift. Opportunity, once unnoticed, would reveal itself. Many men say they lack opportunity when what they lack is definiteness. The man without aim sees confusion where the definite man sees direction. Starting from zero offers advantage because distraction has been removed. Pride has been humbled. Illusion has been stripped. A man can build cleanly when nothing false remains. I would guard my mind fiercely during this stage. Negative speech would be rejected immediately. Complaints would be silenced. Conversation that feeds doubt would be shortened. The rebuilding mind must not be polluted. Association influences belief invisibly. If I were rebuilding, I would seek even one companion who possesses ambition and discipline. One strong mind aligned with mine would multiply force. The mastermind principle does not require wealth to begin. It requires harmony of purpose. Two determined men at zero, united in aim, are stronger than one wealthy man without direction. During this period, I would discipline my imagination. I would visualize not merely possession of wealth, but rendering service worthy of wealth. The picture must include usefulness, not luxury alone. Luxury without value dissolves quickly. Value without luxury accumulates eventually. The man at zero must build value first. I would also eliminate language of uncertainty. I hope would be replaced with I will. If possible, would be replaced with by this date. Language governs belief. Belief governs action. Others may interpret this firmness as arrogance. Let them. The rebuilding man cannot afford fragile speech. Within 3 months of sustained definiteness, I would expect internal change. Confidence would increase. Decision would become easier. Fear would diminish because movement replaces speculation. Fear grows in idleness. It weakens in action. I would not seek immediate greatness. I would seek immediate usefulness. The world pays for usefulness generously when it is rare. Specialization would become my next concern. I would choose one field and resolve to know it more thoroughly than those around me, not superficially, but deeply. Scattered knowledge weakens. Directed knowledge commands. Most men at zero attempt too many directions. They chase whichever opportunity appears nearest. In doing so, they remain average in all and master of none. I would choose one direction and persist long enough for skill to compound. Skill compounds quietly. It requires repetition. Repetition requires discipline. Discipline requires desire. Thus, the circle closes again upon the definite chief aim. Zero clarifies this circle. It forces the man to see that nothing will build until aim, belief, and service align. Others may see only struggle in the early months. They may wonder why the rebuilding man refuses easy diversion. They may call him obsessed. Obsession, when directed by purpose, is virtue. The man at zero must welcome discomfort. Comfort is dangerous during rebuilding. It tempts retreat. I would remind myself daily, I am not rebuilding money. I am rebuilding command over myself. Money follows command. Within 6 months of sustained definiteness, even modest income would begin to reflect direction. Not dramatically at first, but steadily. Steady increase is more powerful than sudden windfall. The man who rebuilds through law understands that cause precedes effect invariably. If I had nothing, I would cling to that understanding fiercely. The world cannot prevent a man from thinking definitely. It cannot forbid him from deciding. It cannot stop him from persisting. It may delay reward. It cannot block inevitability. Starting from zero, I would repeat daily, I am not at the mercy of circumstance. I command my mind, and my mind commands results. My service will grow so valuable that riches must follow. These declarations would not be empty ritual. They would be instruction. Instruction repeated daily becomes belief. Belief sustained becomes character. Character expressed becomes wealth. Zero is frightening only to the man who has never learned this sequence. To the man who understands law, zero is foundation. The next stage would require immediate organized action, turning this definiteness into daily usefulness so compelling that income begins flowing quickly. But that belongs to the next portion of this blueprint. First, the mind must be secured. For without a commanded mind, zero remains poverty. With a commanded mind, zero becomes beginning. Step 2, turning thought into income, organized service, and immediate action. Once the mind has been secured by a definite purpose, the next step in rebuilding from zero is immediate organized action. Thought without action becomes frustration. Action without thought becomes exhaustion. The two must unite if income is to appear swiftly and permanently. If I had nothing, I would waste no time seeking sympathy or rehearsing past mistakes. I would seek usefulness. Not wages first, usefulness. For wages follow usefulness as shadow follows substance. The man at zero often asks, who will hire me? The better question is, whose burden can I lighten so thoroughly that they cannot afford to lose me? That question builds income faster than begging for opportunity. I would select one field in which I can render measurable service. It need not be glamorous. It must be fertile. The soil must contain problems in need of solution. Where problems exist, payment follows solution. Most men at zero rush toward any coin that appears. They accept scattered labor without direction. In doing so, they spend their strength in exchange for survival, but not advancement. I would choose differently. I would identify the most pressing need within my chosen field and study it until I understand it better than those around me. Understanding commands respect. Respect commands opportunity. I would arrive earlier than required and leave later than expected, not to impress, but to observe. Observation reveals inefficiency. Inefficiency presents opportunity for improvement. Improvement increases value. Value multiplies income. The principle of the extra mile would become my daily law. I would give more service than is required consistently and without complaint. The extra mile is rarely crowded. Men who begin from zero often complain that they are underpaid. The disciplined man focuses instead on being overuseful. Underpayment rarely survives long in the presence of unmistakable value. Within months, reliability becomes visible. Superiors begin noticing consistency. Associates begin depending upon initiative. Dependability is more valuable than brilliance. I would also begin cultivating relationships carefully, not flattery, but association. I would seek those whose discipline exceeds mine and place myself within reach of their thinking. The mastermind alliance does not require wealth to begin. It requires harmony and purpose. Even one determined ally strengthens resolve. Two minds aligned multiply capacity beyond their sum. If I began from nothing, I would study daily, not casually, but strategically. Each evening would contain reading related to my chosen field. Each lesson would be applied the next day. Knowledge applied becomes skill. Knowledge stored becomes clutter. Most men read without action. I would read only what I intend to use. The man at zero cannot afford wasted thought. I would also discipline my speech. No complaint would leave my lips. No blame would be entertained. Blame wastes energy better spent in solution. Energy is precious during rebuilding. It must be directed, not dispersed. The early months may not produce large income. That is acceptable. The goal is not immediate riches, but rapid momentum. Momentum builds when daily effort compounds. A small improvement repeated 30 times becomes formidable. If I were employed in modest position, I would treat it as apprenticeship. I would observe processes. I would note weaknesses. I would suggest improvements respectfully and implement them diligently. Superiors value those who think constructively. Eventually, responsibility expands. Responsibility precedes increase in income. Many men demand increase before demonstrating capacity. I would reverse the order. Demonstration commands demand. The field I select must align with my definite purpose. If my aim involves leadership, I must study organization. If it involves commerce, I must study markets. If it involves craftsmanship, I must study precision. Specialization sharpens earning power. Scattered effort dilutes it. The man at zero must decide early that he will not remain average. Average wages average. Superior value commands premium. Within 6 months of disciplined usefulness, I would expect tangible change. Opportunities would begin appearing uninvited. Invitations to larger responsibility would emerge. Others may begin saying, "You are fortunate." They will not see the countless small acts that built that fortune. Fortune favors preparation disguised as routine. I would guard against complacency during early success. The first signs of improvement often tempt relaxation. Relaxation during rebuilding is dangerous. Consistency must remain uninterrupted for a full year. I would also track progress meticulously. Income, skill, connections, ideas, all recorded. Measurement strengthens discipline. Discipline measured and reinforced accelerates growth. The rebuilding man must also cultivate enthusiasm. Not loud enthusiasm, but steady energy. Those who work beside him must feel uplifted rather than burdened. Enthusiasm is contagious. It attracts cooperation. Cooperation multiplies results. If starting from zero, I would treat every person encountered as potential ally. Courtesy costs nothing and returns often. Character becomes currency long before money accumulates. Within 9 months, if usefulness has been steady, income must increase. It may not yet resemble riches, but it will reflect movement. Movement restores confidence. Confidence fuels further initiative. The rebuilding man now stands differently. He no longer feels fragile. He senses that law responds to obedience. This realization is powerful. He understands that money is not pursued, it is invited by value. The second year of effort will build upon foundation laid in the first. Yet even within the first 12 months, visible transformation can occur if service has been extraordinary. Others will notice posture change, speech becomes decisive, hesitation diminishes. They may ask what changed. The answer is simple. Usefulness became obsession. I would remind myself daily, I render service beyond expectation. I become indispensable in my chosen field. My income rises as my value increases. These affirmations are not mere comfort. They direct conduct. Conduct repeated daily becomes reputation. Reputation attracts capital. Capital, when guided by discipline, multiplies. Starting from zero does not mean remaining small. It means beginning cleanly. The final stage of this blueprint involves converting steady income into expanding influence, moving from useful worker to organized leader. But without this stage of disciplined usefulness, leadership collapses. Foundation first, usefulness next. We now move toward multiplication. Step 3, multiplying momentum, from stability to riches. Once usefulness has produced steady income, the rebuilding man must resist the most dangerous temptation of all, contentment with modest progress. Many who rise from zero stall here. They secure comfort and mistake it for success. They forget that comfort was the very force that once weakened them. If I had begun again and secured reliable income through disciplined service, I would not slow my pace. I would increase my vision. Income is not the final aim. It is evidence of law responding. The true objective is control. Control of enterprise, control of influence, control of direction. The man who understands law knows that money earned through value can be multiplied through organization. Organization is the next stage. At zero, I would have sold my labor and ideas. At stability, I must begin organizing labor and ideas beyond my own. This requires a shift in thought. The worker thinks in terms of hours. The organizer thinks in terms of systems. A system produces while the man rests. Labor produces only while he exerts. If I were rebuilding, I would observe closely where my effort produces consistent result and begin structuring that effort so it can be duplicated. Duplication creates expansion. Expansion multiplies income beyond effort. This is where many falter. They fear responsibility beyond themselves. Yet leadership is simply organized usefulness. Andrew Carnegie did not build steel through solitary effort. He gathered capable men and directed them toward one unified purpose. Henry Ford refined systems so that production became predictable and repeatable. They moved from labor to leverage. Leverage is not exploitation, it is multiplication of service. If I had secured skill and reputation during the rebuilding year, I would begin forming alliances deliberately. Not casual association, but purposeful partnership. Each alliance must add strength where I am weak and receive strength where I am strong. The mastermind principle operates most powerfully at this stage. Minds in harmony generate ideas beyond individual capacity. One disciplined man can rebuild. Two aligned minds can accelerate beyond expectation. At this point, capital becomes tool rather than master. Early income must be reinvested wisely into improvement of skill, expansion of service, and strengthening of alliance. The man who consumes his first increase delays his second. Discipline must extend to spending as firmly as it governed effort. The rebuilding man must ask not, what can I afford, but what will strengthen capacity? Capacity multiplied increases earning power permanently. During this stage, reputation becomes visible asset. Those who once overlooked him now seek his counsel. Opportunities appear unsolicited. This is the turning point where confidence replaces fear fully. Confidence built on evidence is stable. It does not depend on praise. The man must guard against arrogance here. Arrogance interrupts growth. Confidence sustains it. He must continue studying, continue refining, continue going beyond expectation. Complacency invites decline. Decline rarely announces itself. It enters quietly through relaxation. The rebuilding man who understands law intensifies persistence when success begins appearing. Persistence separates temporary gain from permanent wealth. Wealth here does not refer only to money. It includes influence, respect, stability, and authority. Authority is earned when others recognize consistent judgment. Judgment sharpened by adversity becomes reliable. If I had begun at zero, by the end of the first year I would no longer fear zero. I would understand that the laws of mind and service can rebuild repeatedly. This realization removes insecurity permanently. Many men cling to position because they fear starting over. The man who understands law is fearless. He knows cause precedes effect unfailingly. Within 2 or 3 years of disciplined organization, income may multiply far beyond early expectations. But multiplication requires restraint and foresight. The organizer must think long-term. He must design systems that outlive effort. Systematic service becomes enterprise. Enterprise builds independence. Independence secures peace. Others will begin seeing inevitability in him. They will say, he cannot fail. They will not understand that failure was conquered long before success appeared. It was conquered the moment he secured his mind and removed retreat. Now he no longer reacts to circumstance. He directs circumstance. The man who has rebuilt once understands something the untested never grasp. Wealth is not possession. It is capacity. Capacity built through law survives loss. This is why some men rebuild faster the second time than the first. They do not rebuild from memory. They rebuild from understanding. If I were to conclude the blueprint of rebuilding from zero, I would state it plainly. Secure the mind through definiteness. Render extraordinary service consistently. Organize effort into multiplying systems. Persist beyond early success. These steps are not dramatic. They are deliberate. Deliberate action repeated daily compresses years into seasons. Most men require 10 or 20 years to learn through trial what disciplined application could teach within 2 or 3. Zero becomes gift when law is understood. The fear of starting over dissolves when the man realizes he is the cause. Say these words quietly, not as comfort, but as certainty. I am the source of my prosperity. My organized thought produces organized results. Loss cannot defeat understanding. When a man reaches this stage, he no longer fears poverty. He fears only indecision. Indecision wastes more years than failure ever could. Starting from zero is frightening only to the man who has never commanded his own mind. To the disciplined man, zero is simply the beginning of another ascent. And once he understands the law, ascent becomes inevitable.